Good morning and welcome to Rising. Madeleine Albright, who served as Secretary of State under Bill Clinton, has died at the age of 84. Albright was the first woman to serve in the position. According to Albright's family, she died from cancer. President Biden recalled his time working with Albright and said, quote, "When I think of Madeleine, I will always remember her fervent faith that America is an indispensable nation."
In other news, Moderna is seeking emergency authorization of its coronavirus vaccine for children younger than 6. According to reports released yesterday, the drug maker is aiming to start vaccinating babies, toddlers, and preschoolers come summer. The 2-dose vaccine was found to be 44% effective at preventing infections from Omicron in children aged 6 months to 2 years old, and roughly 38% effective for children aged 2 to 5 years old, according to data from Moderna.
And as reports of a new variant have become more prominent, the second largest school district in the nation, the Los Angeles Unified School District, finally reached an agreement with its teachers to end its indoor mask mandate and agreed to weekly PCR testing for all students, staff, and faculty until the end of the school year. Dr. Fauci warned about the potential spread of the new variant, BA2 Omicron, on ABC News. Watch that.
Clearly, throughout the world, it's about 80+%, 85% of the isolate. In the United States, it's still somewhere around 30%. So it does have an increased transmission capability. However, when you look at the cases, they do not appear to be any more severe, and they do not appear to evade immune responses, either from vaccines or prior infection. So the bottom line is we likely will see an uptick in cases as we've seen in the European countries, particularly the UK, where they've had the same situation as we've had now. They have the BA2, they have a relaxation of some of the restrictions, such as indoor masking, and there's a waning of immunity. Hopefully we won't see a surge. I don't think we will. The easiest way to prevent that is to continue to get people vaccinated, and for those who have been vaccinated, to continue to get them boosted.
Rand Paul gave his rebuttal to Fauci's interview over on Fox News. Here's that.
Not one thing he has advocated other than the vaccine, and I'm not against the vaccine, but the interesting thing is this, and he won't admit this to the public. If you take a sample of blood from 1,000 people anywhere in the United States and you measure to see if they have antibodies to the virus or antibodies to the vaccine, it's over 95%. That's why we're doing better with this. We have developed immunity, either from having the disease or from being vaccinated, and that's why we're doing better, in addition to the fact that the virus has mutated to a less virulent or less deadly form. But he won't admit it because he's so caught up in putting stickers on the floor, putting masks on your face, putting goggles on you. The guy's a menace, and he hasn't been right really about anything since the start of this.
Although it sounds like they're getting closer to agreement, actually.
No, they are, but what Rand is saying is that he's been there all along, and now the COVID cautious Team Blue health official type people are finally coming along to the, well, all right, it's, what are we going to do?
Although Fauci's plan to get to herd immunity was not that we would have one of the highest infection rates in the world.
Right.
And actually, so we were talking about Bill Gates a couple weeks ago saying, sadly, it looks like Omicron is becoming like a mass vaccination. And we couldn't figure out why he was saying sadly. But later I figured it out. He meant sadly like these people got sick. Right. And some of them died.
Right.
And that you would prefer that they get some inoculation in a way that doesn't lead to them right. dying and getting severely ill. And so, okay, it's good that we have 95%. Let's say it's true that we have 95% either prior infection or vaccinated. The fact that so many people got it wouldn't have been at the start. Hey, let's have how many people got it in the United States?
Got it? I don't know. We have 1 million deaths, right?
Right. Yeah.
1 million deaths.
So
I don't know how many people got it.
Tens of millions.
Yeah.
Right. So if in March 2020,
there's 400 million people in this country, right?
330, 340.
330. Yeah. Our vaccination rate is like 80% or something at this point, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but if you would have said in March 2020, the way we're going to get out of this through herd immunity is a combination of vaccinations and infections, and 1 million people will die of it, and 80 million people will get it. If you'd have said that in March 2020, I'd be like, no, well, let's try something else. I don't know if 80 million people are getting this, even if, say, 30% are asymptomatic. That's still 50 million people suffering through this and up to 1 million dying.
But one group of people who really tend to not have severe outcomes are the very young, and that's why, look, I would, I'm for approving vaccines. I'm for right to try. I get the government out of the way. Let people make these choices for themselves.
Let this 7-month-old make the choice.
Well, let his family make the choice. But this is that's not a very high, I thought, wasn't getting to 50% efficacy a deal for the other stuff?
It's impossible for them to get too high because you're measuring effectiveness against the severity of the illness.
Right.
And since so many kids have basically no reaction, let's say 6 months to 2 years, such a tiny reaction that it's impossible to have.
It's so mild, we cannot prove that the vaccine
because you can only go so much
improvement.
You can only get it so much less mild.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Which just makes it crazy that this, not so
and
much
so
now, but for so long, was a sticking point. This was a sticking point for schools, for teachers' unions. That everybody's got to be masked because we don't have these little kids vaccinated.
Right.
Stupid.
And now they're doing PCR tests every week in Los Angeles. Where are they going to get those?
Yeah, just stop. Just stop.
I mean,
stop.
If we got the tests, go ahead.
If you want to find it, it's not. It doesn't prove
also,
anything.
Los Angeles, open your windows.
Yeah, open the windows. That's good. Yeah, if you're in LA.
You're in LA.
Yeah, have class on the beach. I don't know.
Yeah, LA should have done better with their. I don't know LA culture, but I would assume, knowing LA people, that they close all their windows and crank the AC.
Yeah. Do we think that's what Kim does?
Let's ask Kim later. Yeah.
I'm a close all my windows. Actually,
Kim's a wanderer. She's less of an LA person.
Right.
So.
This is one dispute my wife and I actually commonly have because I am one of those people. I want to shut all the windows, crank the AC. She wants the windows open like all the time as soon as it's nice out, or even when it's not as nice out.
She's doing good COVID cautious behavior by keeping those windows open.
You know me. Now that it's a COVID thing too, I want to shut them. I want to bolt them shut. I want to bolt them shut.
Get the paint out there. Landlords, why are you painting all of our windows?
But so it will be interesting if this new variant, if there be maybe a slight increase in cases. If that's my worry is that even a slight increase in cases will prompt the most COVID cautious Democratic officials, like in LA and in DC and a few other places, that will be enough for them to trigger the return of mask mandates.
Some of them, but national Democrats are going to tamp down on that so hard.
I hope they do.
With the midterms coming.
I hope they do.
Because
listen to Jared Polis. Listen to Jared Polis.
The thing national Democrats are afraid of is another wave that would trigger that and then would trigger the reverse response from independents on the right saying, uh-oh, here comes another. They're scared of what Democrats might do. So they're saying, no, don't do it. Now, the place still getting hit the worst, interestingly, Hong Kong, which has this very low vaccination rate. And I was thinking about this morning that China has been making the argument for a couple years, 5 years now, that the two big problems with the Western hegemony were A, they create all this chaos and they go to war. And so they blow up the global world order. And B,
Russia.
Yeah. And B, they really failed on their COVID response, whereas kind of China did really well with its
locking
COVID
people in their
response.
homes and murdering their pets. It's great.
Right, yeah, and they're saying liberalism can't respond to pandemics and social unrest and populism. You need illiberalism. You need to be able to crack down on it.
Right.
So, I mean, Hong Kong is a mix, obviously, but the complete failure in Hong Kong, combined with this chaos created by the Russian invasion, is undercutting two of the major arguments China makes for why they'd be a better steward of global hegemony.
Yeah, I
than
don't
the West
think
would be.
They would definitely, for all our criticisms of what the U.S. does and what it has done in the Middle East is, a war crime. No, I do not want to be under the thumb of the Chinese authoritarians, which have responded to this pandemic in ways only our most COVID cautious policy advisors in the U.S. could dare to dream of, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
And we'll tell you what's on our radars up next.